All right, welcome back. So today, what I want to talk about is the main three functions of this play surface that we have called IL Remote. All right, guys, so thanks. Welcome back to Winning with Blends. So let's get into it. So let's bring this up right now. So one of the first things you're going to see is that it's essentially free, and it's an FL Studio mobile and FL Studio remote, and it works through Wi-Fi. It's a great Wi-Fi MIDI controller you can use with pretty much any device, any mobile device, whether it be a tablet or a phone. So I think it's fantastic. Let's get into it. All right. So first of all, the three main functions I want to look at are the keyboard, piano, the harmonic grid, as well as pads or drum pads. Okay, so let's dive in. Now, off the bat, you're going to see a lot of functionality, but the reality is all of these, if not most of them, as a matter of fact, most of them are pretty much only available for use with FL Studio. However, there are a handful, the three that I mentioned essentially, that can be used for FL Studio Mobile. And this is, of course, on the desktop. So what you want to do is from the very top right, you can swipe by that pencil icon, you can swipe left and release to engage the edit mode. There are also these up down arrows that hide and reveal the page selection bar. Okay, now from here you can choose to add new controls to the current page that you have selected. All right, of course you can add more pages by pressing the plus at the top, and within each page you can edit those parameters, those settings, by clicking the gear, by tapping the gear, or the blank page at the top left to create a new page or to load a new preset page or preset surface. Okay, so let's look at that. Now there are limits depending on whether you're using a mobile device, the size of the device, as well as a cell phone or a tablet. It really depends on which device you're using. That will kind of indicate how many tabs you can use, how many pads you can add, how small you can make them, and so forth. Okay, so each page can be your customizable play surface. I love it, right? So play surfaces as we wish. So let's actually go in and click new. Okay, we're going to start a new layout, and we're going to focus on the keyboard, piano, the harmonic grid, and pads or drum pads. Okay, so let's go to layouts and presets. I'm going to load one that I've created for FL Studio Mobile. Okay, now as you see, I've got the ability to, for my piano, I just chose the full screen for the piano. Now, if I wanted to edit this, I just again swipe left from that pencil icon and I tap on that keyboard. And of course here you can choose to click an X and re-add one, let's just say. So let's just go and add a new, here we go, piano keyboard. Now we can adjust the size. Okay, we could choose to cut off some of it if we wish as well. And so there's so much functionality. I'll leave this at the max for now, right? Double tap to get that max view. Now we're going to click this play button so that we get out of the edit mode, right? Now I also want to quickly look at the harmonic grid. This essentially just ensures that you're not going to press the wrong key pretty much at all, right? So if, depending on what instrument we're using, you'll hear only some of the keys will work. But more than that, it's always going to connect with something that is perfectly in key, right? So for definitely more robust, more flavorful, more rich sounds, you could definitely use the harmonic grid. Okay, you can see that right there. All right, so let's move on to pads. Now these are really, really cool. So let's dive into the editing functions of the pads. Now you can dive in, and what I like about it is that you can click each, as long as you're in the edit mode, you can start to look around. You can change the name, you could change the color, you could change where and whether or not there is a label. Okay, so some of my pads, you'll notice later, don't have labels on them. Some of them do, like right over here. You can change the colors to denote your sharps or your minors or your accidentals. And you can of course dive into the note and the octave as well. So a lot of functionality here. And I want you guys to stick around because I do have some very important feedback to give about my experience setting this device up across many, this app up across many devices, okay? I want to give that feedback, but I definitely want to give all the positive thoughts and just the cool updates and essentially the walkthrough first, right? So I love the fact again that you can go into these and you can edit them, make those different changes. You can of course you can resize them, but I'm going to keep mine like this because I like it like that. All right. Now I also want to go on to the same pads but used a little bit differently, and I created them as drum pads, and I don't, as you see, have them labeled as anything because I want them specifically to be used for the drum sequencer or drums. So if we actually went into drums and we had some like a kick drum, let's just see what we've got here. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I'll pull this up and I'll bring it a little bit lower. So there you go. You guys can see those drum pads. So I could actually go ahead and hit these kicks, but as you see, when I tap these, they're not associated with anything. It doesn't really it doesn't trigger anything, right? So what I can do with the drum kit, as I mentioned in an earlier video, I spoke about customizing drums, okay, and different drum kits. So definitely check out those drum kit videos. I'll definitely link those as well. So you want to right click or tap on this and you want to set MIDI. So if I want my first kick to be right here, I'm going to set MIDI, and there you go. My first kick is set to that right there. Now we can organize this however we want. Let's just say we wanted only some of these. So we like this hi-hat. I want that particular hi-hat to be, let's see where that one is. It's this one right here. Okay, I want this hi-hat, again, right click it or tap it however you wish, to be this button down here. So now my hi-hat is very big down here. And let's say I want this one to be a clap or some type of percussion hit. Let's see. Okay, let's see, maybe we have another hat. Let's do that one right there. So right here, we're going to trigger that sound right here. Okay, we want that to be very big and open and easy to hit. So again, we're going to set that. So I like that. Already we have 3 sounds triggered, set. Now let's do a snare drum. Let's do a more powerful snare drum. There we go. Okay, so again, you want to select this one and choose the MIDI channel. So now we got like, all right. Okay. See, I look, I love it. This play surface is so useful. The piano part is so great. It's so useful. The harmonic grid is, of course, another part of it that is just so useful. You know, it's good for experimenting, especially when you have your octave set, your key set, your scale right here, as I've come across, spoke about many times, like creating catchy melodies and chord progressions or a bass line, mastering bass lines and all this various videos. You know, we definitely talked about that. So definitely get those scale sets so you can have fun with tools like this, right? Okay. Nice. And then of course the keyboard is just so beautiful. Okay. Right, so there's so much functionality. So now, you know, guys, thank you so much for checking this one. Of course, I want to dive into a little bit more. If you're feeling the video, guys, so far, definitely hit the like button. Jump in the comments, leave some feedback. You guys have been leaving some incredible feedback and I definitely appreciate it. I want you guys to dive in deeper as well, so check me out across my various channels. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit deeper, because I do want to share some of my feedback on my experience, like I said, using this device across many devices. Again, I'm going to say it again, using this software across many devices, setting it up, you know, not on one, not on two, just keeping on, because again, you can do up to 15 currently. So, you know, I want one to be a piano, one to be perhaps a harmonic grid, perhaps another device to be the pads over here, perhaps another device to be these drum pads, and perhaps even more play surfaces if I was using FL Studio. But right now I'm speaking specifically about FL Studio Mobile, okay? When you're editing this, when you swipe left from the top and you start to go into the individual pads, right? Again, I showed you how you can duplicate them up and down. You can, let me just create a new page, pardon me. And just for now, I'm going to add a new pad. Okay, you can resize the pads. It's really nice, as you see, and you could choose to duplicate them up, duplicate them across, or duplicate them down in a perfect grid. It makes it super simple. Of course, you can add lots of other things, a clip launcher, you know, you can add so many other functions. And I'm just showing you these, even though these are not compatible with FL Studio Mobile currently, I still want to show you just because it's all the same. Okay, the pads, and let's just say we added a super small harmonic grid to this. I don't know why it would be so small, but let's just say we're going to replace this one and we're going to do it like that. Okay, let's just say that was our play surface. Now, if we wanted to go in and edit, now I noticed this, and I'm hoping that we get some updates in the future. I really do hope to see some updates, because that would be guys, that would be so fantastic, right? I would love to be able to share this file across multiple devices so that I have my setup essentially across multiple devices quickly, just in case, depending on the session. Perhaps you're playing with multiple people and you want each person to have to play a part in the session. It's such a, guys, I think this tool is so underrated, and maybe not even rated at all, if I could dare say underrated, right? Okay. But some of the issues I'm facing now that really cost, you know, quite a lot of time is the fact that the app had continually closed every time I made a change. So if I went in here and I tapped on this, let's just say I tap on this pad here, and I go to edit, right, to the settings button right here, and I started to change maybe a color, or I click or select pick, or select just any other color, the app might freeze instantly. Okay. Or if I went to change the name and then I pick the color and then I went to save, it would close the app. So what I learned is that a lot of times, just by choosing a color, you run the risk of the app closing. But essentially every change you make, you may want to save each step of the way. And that's why I said it took so long to set up multiple devices, right? And I didn't give up, because I think it's worth it, and I believe that ImageLine has some amazing tools and a great team. So I just wanted to get the full experience to report to you guys essentially what it was like. And it wasn't perfect, but the outcome, the result, is absolutely fantastic. For me, the fact that I can have this type of play surface super usable for FL Studio and for FL Studio Mobile, and then if I had FL Studio FL Studio, which I do, and many of you guys do, you can also use the deeper functions, all of these other controls that you can add. A fader, you can add faders as you want, multiple faders, you can name them whatever you want. Okay, that is also another fantastic thing. Every aspect of this is pretty much customizable. You could even go in and we can go to the layout settings. So let me go to my original pads here just to show you. You can go to layout settings, all right? And not all of these functions work with FL Studio Mobile. I want to make that clear again, but you could choose the brightness theme. You could decide whether you want it to be just like a light mode or dark mode. Now, I personally like the contrast of the dark mode, but I still think, depending on how you choose to color your pads and your keys, you might find essentially a different setup for yourself, right? You could dive in deeper to show the octave, however many octaves you want for the keyboard. So you can shrink the keyboard down, you can make it much wider and have more keys. It's just, you know, it just depends on what you want, right? Super useful. Labels of the you know, there's just, guys, there's just a lot. I'm going to leave it there. You could choose the bass note, the bass octave, as you wish. Again, I personally kind of dig the dark theme because I just like the contrast. It's easier on the eyes, and it makes things pop a little bit more, right? So guys, look, I'm so glad you guys stuck around for this one. I know it was a little bit lengthy, but I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I definitely will see you guys in the next one. All right, take it easy.